Dear students, today our topic of discussion is Gauss theorem and its applications. Let us start with what we have learned in our last class. We got this expression last class, electric flux phi is equal to Ea cos theta. Now for a closed spherical surface S, you may consider a surface element ds like this. You see this diagram, that for this surface element ds, if you want to draw the area vector and the electric field vector, you can see here that the angle between them is 0. So flux link with the surface element phi is equal to eds. Fine. So next you see E dot ds means flux link with the surface element ds. Okay, but if you write integration E dot ds, it is the flux link with the whole surface S. So if you want to calculate the total flux link with the whole surface, this is the notation. Integration E dot ds is equal to Es, because integration ds is equal to S. Here we are taking theta is equal to 0. Let us come to the topic Gauss theorem. If you see the statement, it states that the total flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. Okay, so flux E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. This is the statement of Gauss theorem. Let us see its applications. Let us start with this field due to an infinitely long charged wire. Here we are considering a positively charged wire, you can see. So this is a positively charged wire, and we are considering a point P at a distance r from the wire, at which we are going to find the electric field. Now we have to draw a Gaussian surface which is passing through that point P, and here the Gaussian surface is just a cylinder because this wire is of cylindrical symmetry. Fine. Now as this cylinder has two types of surfaces, one is curve and the other is flat surface, and you can see here that there are two flat surfaces. So we have to draw three surface elements. You can see ds1, ds2 and ds3. Okay, now for all these surface elements you have to draw electric field vector and area vector, and you have to see what is the angle between them. Then only we will come to know their contributions to the total flux. Now if you see one by one, for this surface ds1, the angle between the area vector and the electric field vector is 0, so it has contribution to the flux. But for this surface element ds2 and ds3, the angle is 90 degree, so these two surfaces are not going to contribute to the total flux. So total flux is equal to, you see, phi is equal to integration E dot ds for the whole surface is equal to E dot ds1 for the surface s1 plus integration E dot ds2 for the surface s2 plus integration E dot ds3 for the surface s3. Now you can put the angles. Here it is 0, 90, 90. So finally you can get that total flux is equal to E into twice by RL, because we have considered the length of the Gaussian cylinder to be L. So you apply the Gauss theorem, total flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Now in place of Q we are putting lambda L, where lambda is called linear charge density. Lambda is equal to Q by L. So if you consider a wire which is uniformly charged, and if you consider any line symmetry which is uniformly charged, so charged per unit length, that is called linear charge density. Lambda is equal to Q by L. So SI unit is coulomb per meter. So we are introducing lambda here in this expression, and the final expression appears to be like this: E is equal to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught r. So E is proportional to 1 by r. Let us see the second application, that is to calculate electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Now you see here again it is a positively charged plane sheet. You can see now we are finding electric field at point P at a distance r from the sheet, but as this sheet has two surfaces, this surface and this surface, this side, so we are considering 2 points. One is P at a distance r from this side and P dash at a distance r from the other side. So if you want to draw the electric field vector at point P due to this positively charged plane sheet, then electric field vector it is coming out like this, and for this point P dash also you can see this direction of electric field vector. Fine. Now definitely you have to consider a Gaussian surface here also, and on that Gaussian surface you have to consider the point. Now we are considering the point P on the flat surfaces of the Gaussian surface. Okay, now here Gaussian surface can be a cylinder also, the Gaussian surface can be a rectangular surface also. Okay, so for making the problem simple, we are considering the Gaussian surface to be cylinder, and you see on both the flat surfaces we have considered the points P and P dash, because if you see the Gaussian surface which is a cylinder, if you consider the curved surface, the curved surface has no contribution to the total flux, because if you consider any surface element on the curved surface and if you draw the electric field vector and surface vector, the angle between electric field vector and the surface vector or area vector is 90 degrees. So the curved surface has no contribution to the flux, only these two flat surfaces they have contribution to the total flux. So total flux phi is equal to EA plus EA for one flat surface, EA for the other flat surface is equal to twice EA. So you just apply Gauss theorem, twice E is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Here Q is equal to sigma A, where sigma is the surface charge density. Sigma is equal to Q by A. So Q is equal to sigma A. So if a sheet is positively charged or negatively charged, which is uniformly charged, then charge per unit area is called surface charge density, Q by A. So SI unit is coulomb per meter square. So if you introduce sigma here in this expression, then the electric field at any point appears to be E is equal to sigma by twice epsilon naught. Although we have considered the point P at a distance r from the plane sheet, then you see finally we can see that small r is not appearing in the final expression. It means that E is independent of r. Okay, E is independent of the distance. It depends only on the surface charge density. Now we have considered a plane sheet which is positively charged. For positively charged plane sheet, the field is directed away from it. So you can see it is directing away from it. You can see the diagram, it is directing away from it. But if you consider this to be negatively charged, field line has to come like this. Ready? Okay, it has to be normal to the surface and it has to come towards the surface. Okay, so you can see if the sheet is negatively charged, sigma less than 0, the field is directed towards it. Okay, towards the plane sheet. Let us see the third application, to find electric field due to a uniformly charged thin spherical shell. Now you can see here that this is a spherical shell of radius capital R. Now let us find electric field at three different points: outside the spherical shell, on the surface of the spherical shell, and inside the spherical shell. Let us see the first case where we are considering a point lying outside the spherical cell. Now you see the point P here, and through that point P we have to consider a Gaussian surface. We have to consider a Gaussian surface, and on that Gaussian surface we have to consider that point P. You can see here P is lying on the Gaussian surface. Now if you see the symmetry of the problem, the Gaussian surface is also a spherical surface. Fine. Now at this point P, if you imagine a surface element, and if you draw the surface vector or area vector and electric field, then the angle between the area vector and the electric field is equal to 0. Fine, it is equal to 0. Now let us calculate the charge enclosed by the that surface, okay, that uniformly charged spherical cell. What is the total charge? What is the total charge enclosed by that spherical cell? So Q is equal to 4 pi r square sigma. We are using the concept of surface charge density. Sigma is equal to Q by A. So Q is equal to A into sigma. A is 4 pi r square, capital R square, because capital R is the radius of the given spherical cell. Now flux through the Gaussian surface, because the Gaussian surface is also spherical and it has radius smaller, so it is E dot ds. So E dot ds means E ds cos theta. Already we discussed that theta is equal to 0 here. So flux through the Gaussian surface, phi is equal to E into S, so E into 4 pi r square. Fine. Now apply Gauss theorem. Total flux E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So E is equal to 1 by 4 by epsilon naught Q by r square. So it is 1 by r square variation. So E is proportional to 1 by r square. Second second case is you have to consider the point P on the spherical cell. So if you consider the point P on the spherical cell, you imagine this point P to be here on the surface, then definitely small r is equal to capital R. So you have to just replace small r by capital R. You can see total flux E into 4 pi capital R square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Okay. So if you do so, finally you may get it like this: E is equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught capital R square. You can see small r is equal to capital R. So E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Third case is when P lies inside the spherical cell. Now you can see P is here. So you imagine the Gaussian surface through that point P. The radius of the Gaussian surface is smaller. Radius of the original spherical cell is capital R. Fine. So again here let us see the flux through the Gaussian surface. Phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. Apply Gauss theorem. Phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. It is a Gauss theorem. So if you apply this, total flux E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. But Q is equal to 0 here because charges reside at the outer surface of the spherical cell. Okay, this we will learn in details later on. So finally you may get E is equal to 0. So electric field due to a uniformly charged spherical cell is 0 at all points inside the cell. Okay, so this is the conclusion. Now if you want to draw a graph between E and R to see the variation of electric field with respect to the distance, then you can see that inside the spherical cell electric field is 0 and it is maximum at the surface. You can see the value at the surface is E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square, capital R square. Okay, because capital R is the radius of the spherical cell. And then if you go away from the spherical cell, electric field decreases. You see, electric field decreases as E is proportional to 1 by R square. Okay, so this graph is also important. Thank you.